Hello there, everyone. Welcome to day two of Innovation for the Nation and our Hangout series here today. Hope you had a chance to join us yesterday. We had some great conversations. We were up in Michigan. We were in Oregon talking to a public library system there. Today we're going to journey down to the south. We're heading over to Georgia later on this afternoon. We'll be talking about a virtual office initiative from the Georgia Pardons and Paroles Department. And really, it's an interesting case study that we'll be talking about, tying together a lot of the themes and ideas that we've talked about over the last 2 days: Google Apps, Google Maps, Chromebooks. So that'll be an interesting conversation. That is coming up at noon Pacific time, 3 Eastern today. My name is James Hilliard. Again, happy to be here as the Hangout host for this series of Hangouts we're having. Of course, the Google Enterprise Government team welcomes you all to this event. We're glad to have you back with us for day two. Hashtag, if you want to tweet today, is IFTN13. You can also use that to submit questions to us as we go through these Hangouts. One of the other ways you can submit questions is if you go to the networking lounge within our virtual environment, head on over to the message boards, and then look for the QA message board. And that will be another way that you can submit questions to us. A big hit yesterday was a lot of the chats that we had, scheduled chats that were occurring right after we did these Hangouts, and our two guests that are joining us for this event are going to be in one of those scheduled chats as well. So definitely ask your questions and comments via Twitter, via that Q&A module within the message boards, and then if you have other things, you can join these folks later on for the chat coming down the line in about 25 minutes or so from now. Let's go ahead and kick off day two in terms of this Hangout series. Effective search for law enforcement. This is a case study out of Orange County Sheriff's Department in Florida. We've got Hal Trask on board with us. He's the IT Solutions Delivery Manager for the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Talking a little bit, he'll set the stage here, talk about kind of the acquisition of technology, the intent of the search project, really come at it from the IT perspective. And then we're going to turn things over to Sheena Lovett, who is a crime analyst supervisor there. And really, that's going to be the product story, the successes they've had in terms of crime investigations, some screenshots, kind of a little mock demo there, sharing how they use search and what it's meant to them in terms of solving crimes, putting people behind bars, and all that. So that's what we're going to do for the next 25 minutes or so here. And how, with that, I'll remind folks, if they have questions, the hashtag IFTN13. And now, sir, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. James, thanks for having us on board here to talk a little bit about how we're using the Google GSA technology here at the agency, basically to help catch the bad guys and figure out what's going on with them. So before I get started, I just want to talk a little bit about the history, and then I'll go into a little bit about what it actually looks like, and then talk about our future vision for this product. So to kind of kick things off, we started this project back in 2010, and we basically had some issues and some challenges when it came to our enterprise search technology. We were looking for a solution to just be able to search on things better. We have large file shares out there with just thousands and thousands of various different files, and it's hard enough just to find the files, never mind what's in those files. So we're looking at the technology to be able to provide a solution for that. Secondly, we have an existing legacy portal out there. A lot of the information is our policies and procedures and general agency documents that we use on a daily basis, and there are lots of them, so it gets difficult sometimes to be able to search on that information because a lot of the key and critical information is buried deep down inside. So that's really why we kind of delved into this project to start with, really as an enterprise search solution. As we got farther into the project, we realized, this is very powerful technology, and we started thinking and brainstorming a little bit about how we might use this technology to, enforce our goals and objectives for the agency, which is to keep bad people off the street, really, and how we would use the technology to do that. So how could we wire this up to other various data sources, not only internally but externally as well? How could we wire it up to some of the key databases and data repositories that we have? Integrate it with some of our enterprise applications and our content management systems, and just really capitalize on the benefits of the technology is what we're looking at. So so what does this Craig product look like? Well, when we build products here at the agency, people like things really simple. Well, I think you can tell by the first slide here that it is pretty simple but very powerful. So we call it the Criminal Research and Investigative Gathering application. On the surface, it's just a web application, but the power of it is obviously in the yellow box behind. So you go in and you just type in one single line, search for 2008 red Corvette, and throw in some other parameters. And it's like anything. It comes back with a standard Google type response or result set. In our case, we're initially we have everything wired up to our internal data repositories. We have a data warehouse and some other data sets that we have utilized. We've also wired it up to some of our social media feeds, so it's kind of cool from that perspective as well. So we searched on something, in this case red Toyota Ford 2000, 2005, a particular location. We're actually searching on 3 different collections right now, and it came back with the results. So some of the other technology we were able to integrate it with is it was very flexible. That we have an existing GIS and mapping system, so we were able to very easily kind of integrate it and wire it up with that system as well. So in this case here, we've selected on a single incident that we're researching, and when you click on the location link, it shows a location map via our existing GIS system. Of course, if we well, let me go back to the previous slide here. If we go up to the top, we can actually click a button and it will show all of the results on the next slide, which is a county-wide map showing all the incidences. And we can zoom in and see the details about a lot of these incidents that have happened. Okay. The next slide is really where we want to go here for the future. Okay. At the agency, we are extremely passionate about catching criminals and putting them behind bars and where they belong. We also know, I'm an IT guy, so I have to think about how this technology is used in a law enforcement environment, because that's really why we exist here. So we know that these criminals move outside of our jurisdictional boundaries. So being able to do federated type searches with other agencies and outside of our jurisdiction will just be critical and key going forward. So that's kind of what our vision is going forward to the future. But I know everyone here today wants to hear about how we're actually doing it and some of the exciting things about how we've used the technology thus far. So to do that, I'm going to turn it over to our resident expert, Sheena Levitt, who's our crime analyst supervisor, and she's going to tell you some more exciting things. Thanks, James.
Folks, Hal's going to hang on board here, so if you have questions using that QA message board in our virtual environment or the hashtag IFTN13, get those questions in. I'm queuing up a few already here, so send those along our way. We'll probably take about 10 minutes or so here with Sheena, go through again kind of a mock demo. We'll show some more screenshots of the tool and how they're using it, hear some success stories, and then we'll open it up to questions for the rest of the time. And Sheena, with that, let me turn things over to you.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you, James, and thank you, Hal. And greetings to everyone out there. Now what we're going to do, Hal has explained the IT portion behind this new application that we have known as Craig. Now I'm going to go into the most exciting part of it for me as an analyst and for my subordinates. We are here at the Orange County Sheriff's Office to assist our investigators in capturing and making arrests and keeping the community safe overall. This tool is awesome. The first slide that I'm going to go into is amazing. It's reference to bomb threats, and I'm going to narrow that down and go drill a little bit more. Actually, school bomb threats. This is something that in the past we were unable to actually search on. There's millions of records in our database, but for an analyst, what we need is to come and get to results as fast as possible. Okay, it's a time saver, and I love Craig for this purpose. As you can see up here, I typed school bomb threat. What this system does for me now is only return any report, incident report, field intelligence report, a call for service with those 3 words in it. Okay, unbelievable. This knocks off thousands of reports. It drills down. As you can see, I got 31 returns. This is a decent amount of data for an analyst to work with. Okay, we're thrilled with it. We were able to narrow our search down to different schools in the county that may have been experiencing any of these kind of calls. Within seconds, we were able to do this. In the past, there was no such thing. Okay. One of the most important parts that I love also is the fact that when I get these results, I'm able, and I'll back up here, I'm able to click on this button right here, and what it does, it exports our data into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, now I have a document that I can work with, drill down by sector. Perhaps I'm only interested in sector 2. I can now just focus on that and send this data out. Never could do that before. Okay, another example really quick, Cady Way. Cady Way is just a known area here in the county. We had a homicide there, and trying to assist our investigators as an analyst, it was difficult. You know, Cady Way is a popular park/trail here, so we would get thousands of returns when we would try to search this data. With Craig now, I put Cady Way and homicide in there, and that's the only results that I receive. Okay, that narrowed it down from thousands to 119. Okay, this is an analyst's dream right now. All right, another case, and I'm going to get into some specific cases dealing with persons crime. We had just a string of robberies going on, armed robbery and unarmed robberies to persons out there in the community. The only thing we had to go by was a tip of a street name, so to speak, aka street name. The name was Retard Ricky, white male, heavy set. That's all we had to go on. All right. I took Craig, I typed Retard Ricky in there, hit the search button, and amazingly, I had 3 results back. That's amazing, just 3 results. And sure enough, in those results, we're able to find his real name, his real surname, and then send the investigators the information. And Retard Ricky, so to speak, was indeed picked up and arrested. Okay, so this is awesome. It took seconds, and you know, I'm just loving this system. I can't say anything else more about it. Other than to show you the successes behind it. Another big, huge case was our commercial burglaries of beer kegs. We had businesses, restaurants, bars getting beer kegs stolen off of their property. All right. In this example, I wanted to narrow it down to just a date range. Okay. Craig allows you to do that. We type kegs. I did a DR for date range, put my date range in there because I wanted to limit it to current activity of kegs. And I didn't believe I would get results, but I did off of beer kegs, believe it or not. And in those results, we were able to come up with 2 to 3 known suspects who have had some kind of involvement with beer kegs, stealing them of some sort. That gave us a real name to go by. The investigators did their background on it. They reached out to these suspects, talked to them, and sure enough, 2 of them was actually arrested for the string of beer keg burglaries. Okay, and as Hal mentioned earlier on, how in the past our data set will return thousands, I say millions of different kinds of records. So we've got millions of records in there. This is just a screenshot of what I would get. For instance, working and assisting another neighboring agency with a homicide case. They had an investigative lead for questioning that they really needed to find. The only thing they had was black male, nickname, street name, Chevy Boy. I ran it in our system, our home-based system. I got nothing. As you can see here, no records found. However, I went into Craig, I ran it in Craig, and I got a results of 5 to 10 reports. That's awesome. in those reports, I was able to find Chevy Boy's real name, forwarded the information to our neighboring agency, and they were able to close their case from this information. So it always feels good when you can assist another agency in these matters. And finally, I'm just going to touch on our phase 2 of this system, of our whole application here. I am in the process of training and going over things with our sworn counterparts. And we're hoping that this system will go into social media. I didn't mean for it to happen. However, I received an email from one of my agents out in the road. They sent me some information. I ran this particular information in Craig, and sure enough, I got some good results, and ultimately we were able to get the real name of this individual on this slide who was sending threats to a popular business owner here in Central Florida. The threats were of severity. I mean, from anywhere from making threats on killing him and how he was going to do it. Running this information in CRED got me the results within minutes. I shot it out to our investigators, and we were able to track down this guy just due to a Twitter. Okay, just from him tweeting these particular words, and we were able to identify him and therefore make an arrest. So yes, I am so excited with this program, and we here at the Sheriff's Office intend on going forward into phase 3 and making even additional improvements with the great IMS team, technology team that we have here. So that's about all that I have, James, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
No, we appreciate the insights. Let me go back, Sheena, with you. Let's go back to that, the AKA, the Retard Ricky case. If you had not had Craig, what would you have been up against in trying to ascertain him, his real name, who he was? What challenge would you have been up to if Craig was not a tool that you had at your disposal?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the one slide I showed where I ran Chevy Boy in the only database that we had at the time, I ran Chevy Boy. I also did the same thing with Retard Ricky. I got nothing, no results, no records found. And I think it has a lot to do with Craig being able to search it's pointing at several of our databases. You know, it's pointing at 911 calls where a caller may call in and give that nickname Retard Ricky on the phone, but it may not have been transferred in the actual written report when a deputy goes out. So that's something that I'm loving, being able to actually see and hit off of our 911 calls, because it's some vital information in there. But to answer your question, no, I was not able to find anything. But when I put this information in Craig, all of a sudden I got 3 to 5 hits, and they were all the same person. I mean, there was no one else out there by the nickname of Retard Ricky. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question, but without Craig, I wouldn't have found the answer to this case.
No, it does. And let me ask this question. We'll start, Sheena, with you, and then Hal, if you want to jump in. Has the introduction of Craig had any impact on officers in the field? Have they had to be retrained in terms of what to put in to their reports, or is it just that the search now is so much more powerful, they are still doing business as usual, the same type of reports, filling out the same information? You can just get deeper into that info than ever before.
Absolutely. The second part of your assumption there is absolutely correct. The deputies and the investigators always here at Orange County Sheriff's Office, they're giving us great information. It's just buried, and we never had a way, at least a successful way to get as many results back as possible. But with Craig, it's amazing. And we've already trained. I've trained 100 of our sworn personnel as of last week. This is part of our phase 2, and they are absolutely loving it. It's just a walk-in. It's just a search. And they came in. Training took about 20 minutes. They are loving this product. They get back to their office. They're already shooting me additional successes. And that's what I'm looking for. This is phase 2. I'm going to sum it up in about 45 days of the successes now that we're having with our sworn personnel out on the road and in our specialized units.
Anything to add, Hal?
James, if I could just interject for a moment, as the IT guy here, I want to say just one thing. I think I'll sum it up pretty quickly. Is
Yeah.
when Sheena and I gave, a condensed version of this presentation to command staff a few weeks ago, and you get to the last slide, and the questions slide comes up. Well, everybody raised their hand, and the number one question is when can we have access to it? So obviously, there must be something there. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be huge going forward here.
Well, let's talk about
Absolutely.
access. Marty is with us. He was with us yesterday as an attendee here. A couple questions. One, Sheriff's Department, are you the only ones with access to Craig? Are you going to make it open to other law enforcement agencies that are within the county area? Who has access now? What are future plans, if you can share those?
Well, I can tell you right now, as of right now, yes, we are the only agency that have this product, this application. As far as where we're going to go with it in the future, those are things that Hal, myself, and our senior staff, we are talking about these things. For me, I'm waiting another 45 days to get the sworn on board and get some positive feedback in phase 2. And once I have that, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to have justification for why this is such an awesome program. And then it pretty much will be up to our senior command staff to make a decision on where we will go from there.
Let me jump over a couple other questions here. Dan's on board here, and how he's asking how to deal with federated data sharing with other counties when dealing with the sensitive data. Is that something that how is that taken? I think we had the example from Sheena that again some information was shared with a neighboring county. What are your plans and thoughts there?
Okay, well, if you take basic computer concepts and you understand that the way computers communicate with one another, it's like a string between various cups. Okay, and the cups, of course, are the data repositories. And the string, of course, is the network. Well, here in the state of Florida, there's a secured network, and it's basically run by FDLE, our state law enforcement agency, and it's just a very secured network, and that allows most of the agencies here in the state of Florida are on that network. So basically, the groundwork is the foundation is laid for it. It's just getting the agencies on board and understanding the concept. So I think technology-wise, the functionality is absolutely there. It's just a matter of collaboration going forward. One thing I can tell you as an IT guy, I understand the value, and I think all the law enforcement agencies, at least around in this area, and certainly in our command, understand the value of sharing information and sharing intelligence and data amongst various different law enforcement agencies, irregardless of geographic boundaries. I think how important that is well understood. So I'm feeling really good about going forward with it.
Let me branch out that sharing idea beyond just internal police services, emergency services. Any thoughts to the idea, and we heard some of this yesterday, the idea of letting more of the information that we government agencies have more accessible to the public. Here's a scenario. Someone moves to Orange County, wants to open up a business, wants to look into the crime statistics of that neighborhood where they're looking to open up a business. Is that anything that could happen down the road using Craig, that you could allow certain public information to be readily accessible to a business owner that wants to open up and get stats and information about what's going on? Would that be any use here?
Well, James, actually, we already have that in place. That would have nothing to do with Craig.
Okay.
We already have a site out there for the public to go to requesting crime statistics of an area they're either thinking of opening a business or moving to. In addition to that, my unit, the crime analysis unit's phone number is available for them to call us for further details. So we've been doing this for over 20 years. I've been here about 20 years, and that's about how long we've been servicing the public. But as far as the Craig application, probably not. It's just what it is. It's a research and investigative tool. But yeah, we definitely look out for our community here. So we have our own website out there for them.
And Sheena, you had mentioned the training was very short and sweet, which is good to hear. You mentioned that you've been working with some of your other sworn counterparts. Does that include sheriff's officers out in the field? Did they have access to Craig there, or is this more kind of back office when the investigations are going down, they've collected info, and now they need to kind of sit down there and go through material?
Well, what I've done, the members of the class, 100 that I decided to pick, and I did my research on who would be the best for phase 2 of the testing. I went with our agents, our investigators, our nighttime squads, and our specialized units. And when I say specialized units, I'm talking about the individuals that work our gang units, our homicide units, our nighttime robbery units, career criminal units. These are the units that I'm using as the testers in phase 2, and I'm doing that because they're the ones that's going to have the unique words that we need when we're searching for AKAs or tattoos, gang signs. This is going to be a great tool for them. So phase 2 is involving my investigators first, my detectives, that my unit and my personnel we work with. Maybe in phase 3 we're going to have a few select personnel, maybe. That's going to be up to our senior command staff members. There may be a chance where some of our patrol deputies, the active ones, may get access to it. But at this point, I feel better. I want our deputies out there who are attending to our citizens in the community to be available to go to calls. This is more to me of an inside desk investigative tool. I want to make sure my officers are safe out there. I don't want to see them all parked, trying to research and do this type of work. That's what we're here for, and all of their sergeants and detectives are here for. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, and you both have given us some great insights here. Again, I mentioned at the beginning we have a lot of law enforcement today. We start off there, Orange County in Florida, a bit later on today, noon Pacific time. We'll be heading relatively close, geography-wise, to Georgia and their Pardons and Paroles Department. And we'll be talking with Phil Sellers over there, the CIO of Pardons and Paroles. And again, they've been doing a lot of things. I think that's going to wrap together a lot of the ideas we've heard today, from search, from using maps, even Chromebooks and things like that in the field for officers. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. So again, Sheena and Hal, really appreciate you both being here. And Sheena and Hal are also going to join one of the scheduled chats that we have coming up. So once they log off here, they'll be joining one of the chat rooms in our networking lounge. So look for them there, and we'll spend probably about another 25 minutes. They can answer some of the questions and comments you have over in the networking lounge. Again, keep the hashtag active today, IFTM13, and join us in about a half hour from now, 10 o'clock Pacific time, as we talk about improving fraud detection. We have a lot of government folks out here dealing with payments. Could be Medicaid type of payments, could be social service type payments, and the fraud that goes along with that. We're going to be talking about a fraud detection program that I think a lot of you will be interested in. So join us in a half hour from now as we continue with our Hangout series here on Innovation for the Nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.